The room was silent, only one sound could be heard, the soft beep of computers. Large screens were glowing in the dark control room. Men and women were sitting still, staring at the screens. No one was smiling. This was not a normal day. Somewhere far away, a rocket was standing tall, white in color, silent, waiting. This rocket was called New Shepard. For years, space had been dangerous. Many rockets failed. Many missions ended in fire and smoke. People still remembered the explosions. People still remembered the losses. Space did not forgive mistakes. Everyone in the control room knew this truth. Suddenly, a phone rang. The sound was sharp, loud, unexpected. All eyes turned to one man. He slowly picked up the phone. On the other side, a voice spoke, calm but serious. "Are we ready?" That question was not simple, it was not small. This question carried years of work, years of failures, years of dreams. The man did not answer quickly. He looked at the screens again. Numbers were moving fast, green lights, yellow warnings, everything looked fine, but space never warned before danger. He took a deep breath. "Yes," he said, "we are ready." The call ended, silence returned. Outside, the rocket stood alone in the desert, no people near it, no pilot inside it. This was strange. Most rockets carried astronauts. This one did not. This rocket was fully controlled by computers. If the computer failed, no human could save it. This made the mission more dangerous and more powerful. The countdown had not started yet, but everyone felt the pressure. This mission was different. This rocket was not going to orbit Earth. It was not going to the moon. It was not going to Mars. It was going to space and back. Only 10 minutes. 10 minutes to change history. 10 minutes to prove a dream. 10 minutes to fail or succeed. Many people once laughed at this idea. A rocket for 10 minutes. They said, why waste money? What is the point? But the people in this room believed something else. They believed space should not be only for astronauts. They believed normal people should feel space. They believed the future was closer than anyone thought. Still, fear was real. In the past, rockets exploded even before leaving the ground. Some exploded in the sky, some never came back. Every engineer in the room remembered those stories. Every engineer felt the same fear. Outside, the wind moved slowly around the rocket. The sky was clear. The sun was rising. This was the perfect time or the worst. A small problem appeared on one screen. A number changed. One engineer leaned forward. "Check that," he said quietly. Another engineer typed fast. Seconds passed. The number returned to normal. Everyone relaxed just a little. This was the danger. Small problems could become big disasters. Minutes later, another call came. This time, the voice was stronger. "Start final checks." The room came alive. Hands moved fast. Voices spoke in short sentences. Fuel pressure normal. Guidance system ready. Navigation confirmed. The rocket was listening. Every command went into its brain, the computer. The rocket did not think like humans. It did not feel fear, but the humans did. One woman in the room closed her eyes for a moment. She remembered the first design of this rocket. Back then, it was only drawings, only ideas. Many people said it would never work. Reusable rockets were a dream. Vertical landing was called impossible. Yet here it was, standing tall, waiting. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. With every number, hearts beat faster. 7, 6. A man wiped sweat from his face. 5, 4. The rocket remained silent. 3, 2, 1. Nothing happened. Everyone froze. Then fire. Power exploded under the rocket. The ground shook. The sound was loud and deep. New Shepard began to rise, slowly at first, then faster. The control room watched in silence. The rocket moved straight up, no turning, no shaking. It was perfect, but perfection never lasts long. As the rocket climbed higher, the air became thinner. Speed increased. Pressure increased. This was the moment when many rockets failed. Suddenly, a warning light flashed. Red. The room went silent again. An engineer spoke quickly. "Signal delay detected." Seconds felt like minutes. If communication was lost, the mission could end. Everyone waited. Then green light, signal restored. The rocket continued upward, higher, faster. It was now close to the edge of space. Soon the capsule would separate. Soon humans inside would feel zero gravity. But at this moment, no one was thinking about joy. Only survival mattered. The booster prepared to separate. The capsule prepared to fly alone. This was the most dangerous part. If separation failed, everything would be lost. The voice on the speaker spoke again. "Separation in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Separation confirmed." A deep breath filled the room. The capsule moved forward. The booster slowed down. Both were alive. Both were working. But the mission was not over. Not yet. Space had accepted them. Now Earth had to take them back. And Earth is not always kind. The man who answered the first call looked at the screen. He knew something important. This was not just a rocket flight. This was a message to the world. A message that space was closer than ever. A message that the future had started. But one question still remained. Would New Shepard come back safely, or would this dream end in silence? The answer was coming. Very soon the rocket was no longer visible to the human eye. Down on Earth, people could only see a blue sky. Calm, quiet, peaceful, but high above, everything was changing. New Shepard was moving faster than sound, faster than fear, faster than history. Inside the capsule, there was no pilot, no hands on controls, no human voice, only machines, only code, only trust. The computer inside the rocket was making thousands of decisions every second. It checked speed, it checked direction, it checked distance from Earth. One small mistake could change everything. In the control room, no one spoke loudly, no one laughed, no one moved unnecessarily. They knew this moment well. This was the silent zone, a place where rockets either succeed or disappear. The booster was now slowing down. It had done its job. It had pushed the capsule to space. Now it had to do something impossible. Come back. Coming back was harder than going up. Many rockets could fly high, very few could return safely. The booster turned itself around in the air. No human touched it. No remote control guided it. It trusted its own mind. Below it, Earth waited. The air became thicker. Heat started to rise. Friction attacked the metal body. This was not gentle. This was violent. The booster was falling like a stone, but with purpose. In the control room, one engineer whispered, "Too fast." Another replied, "It will slow down." They had seen this before. But seeing was not the same as believing. Every test was different. Every flight carried risk. High above, the capsule crossed the invisible line, the edge of space. There was no sound, no explosion, no celebration, just silence. For a few seconds, the capsule floated freely. No up, no down, only weightlessness. Inside, objects floated in the air, a pen, a small camera, a checklist. This was the dream moment. This was what humans wanted to feel. Space. But it did not last long. The capsule had a mission. It could not stay. It had to return. Back on Earth, the booster was still falling. Suddenly, fire exploded from its engine, not upward, downward. This was the landing burn. The engine screamed against gravity. The speed reduced. The booster straightened itself. It was now standing in the sky upside down, one wrong angle, and it would crash. Dust rose from the desert below. The ground waited. 10 seconds. 9, 8. The booster moved slower now. 7, 6, its legs open like arms. 5, 4, 3, the engine cut off. 2, 1, touchdown. The booster landed, standing tall, alive. The control room exploded with sound, applause, shouts, smiles, but it was not over, not yet. One half of the mission was safe, the other half was still falling from space. The capsule began its return, the air hit it hard. The heat shield glowed, fire wrapped around the capsule. From the ground, nothing could be seen, just empty sky. Inside the capsule, systems checked temperature, pressure, balance. The capsule shook. This was normal, but normal in space was still dangerous. High above the desert, parachutes prepared to open. This moment decided everything. If the parachutes failed, the capsule would hit the ground like a rock. The computer waited for the perfect second. Too early, dangerous. Too late, deadly. Then it happened. The first parachute opened. Then another. Then another. 3 large parachutes filled the sky. The capsule slowed down, floating now, gentle, peaceful. The desert grew closer, dust moved with the wind. The capsule touched the ground, softly, safely. Silence returned, then cheers. People hugged each other. Some cried, some sat down, exhausted. Years of work ended in seconds. The man who took the first call closed his eyes. He smiled. This was not just a successful flight. This was proof. Proof that rockets could come back. Proof that space could be reached safely. Proof that the future was not far, but outside the control room the world was still unaware. Most people did not see the launch. Most people did not understand its meaning. They would soon, because this flight was not about machines. It was about people, normal people, people who dreamed of space but never believed they could go. This 10-minute journey opened a door that was once locked. Door that said, only astronauts allowed. That door was now opening, slowly, carefully, but surely, and this was only the beginning. In the next part, the world would ask a new question. If a rocket can go to space and come back in 10 minutes, then who will be the next to fly? The rocket had landed. The screens were calm now. The numbers had stopped moving fast. The danger was over, but something else had begun. A question no one in that room could ignore. What now? For many years, space was simple to understand. You trained for years. You became an astronaut. You risked your life. Only then space accepted you. But this flight changed that rule. New Shepard did not ask for strength. It did not ask for military training. It did not ask for years of experience. It only asked one thing: trust. Trust in machines, trust in systems, trust in a new idea. Outside the control room, the desert was quiet. The rocket stood still, like nothing special had happened. But inside the minds of the people, nothing was normal anymore. One engineer stared at the booster on the screen. He remembered the first meeting years ago. Back then, the idea sounded crazy. A rocket that goes up and comes back by itself. Passengers with no pilot. 10 minutes in space. People laughed. They said space is not a playground. They said mistakes in space kill people. They were not wrong, but they were not right either. Because progress is always uncomfortable. That night, news began to spread, slowly at first, then faster. A rocket went to space and came back safely. No pilot, reusable, 10 minutes. People stopped scrolling. People read again, 10 minutes. Some people were confused. Others were excited. Many were afraid. On social media, questions appeared everywhere. Is this safe? Is this real space? Is this just for rich people? Would you do it? Inside the capsule, everything was empty now, but hours ago that space held something special. Hope that space was not only for heroes, hope that space could be touched by normal people, but hope always brings fear with it. In another room far from the desert, a group of scientists watched the replay. They slowed it down. They watched every second. They searched for problems because success is dangerous. Success can make people careless. One scientist spoke softly. It worked this time. The word "this time" mattered because space never promises the future. Space only accepts the present. The capsule looked peaceful on the ground, but during return it had faced extreme heat, extreme pressure, extreme speed. One weak part could destroy everything. People outside did not see this. They only saw headlines. Space in 10 minutes. Simple words, but behind those words were thousands of risks. That night, one engineer could not sleep. He kept thinking, what if next time something fails? What if humans are inside? What if fear wins? He knew one truth: technology moves faster than human emotion. Machines learn quickly. Humans do not. In the past, humans feared the ocean, then they built ships. They feared the sky, then they built planes. Now they feared space. And New Shepard had taken the first step, but first steps are always the weakest. The next morning, the sun rose again over the desert. The rocket still stood there. Silent, strong, waiting, engineers walked around it. They touched the metal. They looked for damage. Small marks from heat were visible. This was proof that space had touched it. One engineer smiled. "It came back," he said. Another replied, "Yes, but space is patient." In offices around the world, people talked about the flight. Some were excited. "This is the future. Space tourism is real. I want to go." Others were angry. "This is useless. This money could help Earth. This is only for the rich." Both sides were loud. Both sides believed they were right, but the rocket did not care. It had done its job. It had opened a door that could not be closed again. In the control room, a final report was written. Every second of the flight was reviewed. Every sound, every signal, every silence. One small delay was found, not dangerous, but not perfect. Perfection is rare in space. That delay became a lesson. Lessons are expensive in space, but necessary. The man who answered the first call stood alone for a moment. He looked at the empty chairs. Hours ago, fear lived here. Now only memories remained. He knew this flight would be remembered, not because it was the first rocket, not because it was fast, but because it changed the question. Before, people asked, can humans survive space? Now people were asking, who gets to go? This question was powerful and dangerous. Because once people believe something is possible, they demand access. Access brings pressure. Pressure brings speed, and speed can bring mistakes. The next flights would matter more eyes would watch, more critics would speak, more risks would appear. New Shepard had proven it could fly. Now it had to prove it could fly again and again without failure, because space forgives no one twice. As night fell again, the desert became quiet. Stars filled the sky. The same stars humans had watched for thousands of years. This time they felt closer, not friendly, not safe, but closer. Somewhere between Earth and space, a line had blurred, and once a line is blurred, it is never the same again. In the next part, the story would turn personal, because soon humans would step inside that capsule. And when humans enter space, space starts asking questions back. The capsule was empty. But it would not stay empty for long. Soon, humans would sit inside it, not astronauts, not pilots, just people, and that thought was frightening. In a quiet room far from the desert, a group of people watched the rocket on a screen. They were not engineers, they were not scientists, they were future passengers. No one spoke. The capsule looked small on the screen, smaller than it felt in the imagination. One man broke the silence. "So, this is it?" No one answered, because no one really knew. For years, space had been a place of stories, movies, dreams, heroes in white suits. Now space was becoming real, too real. One woman stared at the screen. Her hands were shaking. She had signed papers, many papers. The papers said one thing clearly. "This is risky. No guarantees, no promises, no refunds." She remembered the line she read again and again. "Space travel may cause serious injury or death." She swallowed. Why did she say yes? The answer was simple. Because space never stopped calling humans. Long before rockets, humans looked at the sky and asked questions. What is up there? Are we alone? Can we reach it? New Shepard did not answer those questions, but it offered something else. A chance, a short one, a dangerous one, but real. In another room, doctors prepared checklists, heart rate, blood pressure, stress levels. These people were healthy, but fear changes the body. Fear makes the heart race. Fear makes breathing fast. Fear makes mistakes, and space does not like mistakes. One doctor spoke softly. "They will feel weightless." Another replied, "For the first time, weightlessness sounds beautiful, floating, freedom, but the human body is not made for it. The brain gets confused, the stomach feels strange. Balance disappears, some people laugh, some people panic, no one knows who will do what." That uncertainty scared the doctors more than the rocket. In the control room, engineers discussed safety again. They knew the systems worked. They had seen the tests, but tests are quiet. Humans are not. Humans ask questions at the worst moments. What if something goes wrong? What if I can't breathe? What if I panic? There is no stopping in space. Once the door closes, the journey begins. One engineer said quietly, "The rocket is ready." Another answered, "But are the people ready?" That question stayed in the air outside. The capsule door was open. Sunlight touched the inside. It looked calm, clean, almost friendly, but this was an illusion. The capsule was a machine. It did not care about fear. It did not care about hope. It only followed commands. In a training room, a future passenger practiced sitting still, straps tight, back straight. He closed his eyes. He imagined the launch. The sound, the force, the shaking. He imagined Earth becoming smaller. He imagined nothing holding him down. His breathing changed. He opened his eyes. "This is crazy," he whispered, yet he smiled, because fear and excitement live close together, very close. That night, many passengers could not sleep. They stared at ceilings. They checked phones. They reread messages from family. Some did not tell their families everything. They said it was safe. They said it was simple, but deep inside, they knew the truth. Nothing about space is simple. In the morning, the desert welcomed them with silence. The rocket stood ready again, same shape, same color, but this time it felt different. This time it was waiting for people. A technician walked near the capsule. He touched the metal gently. "Be kind," he said quietly. He did not know why he said it. Machines do not listen, but humans still talk to them because humans are emotional. That is their strength and their weakness. As the passengers walked closer, cameras followed. The world was watching now. Smiles appeared. Waves to the camera. Everything looked perfect. But inside, hearts were beating fast, one step at a time, closer, closer. The door was still open, the final moment of choice. Once inside, there was no turning back. One passenger paused, just for a second. The desert wind moved softly. The sky was blue. The earth felt strong under his feet. This was the last moment of normal life. He stepped forward. Inside the capsule, the seats waited. Simple, clean, no steering wheel. No buttons to control, only screens, only trust. The door began to close, slowly. The sound was heavy, final. When the door locked, something changed. The outside world disappeared now. It was just humans in space. The countdown would begin soon, but the real journey had already started, because the hardest part of space travel is not the launch. It is the decision to leave Earth, even for 10 minutes. In the next part, the countdown will reach 0. And when it does, fear will meet fire. Time was no longer slow, it was sharp, it was counting. Inside the capsule, the passengers were strapped in. Tight, still, no one could move freely now. The door was closed, locked, sealed. Earth was outside, but unreachable. A calm voice filled the capsule. Final systems check. The voice did not feel human, it felt distant, cold. One passenger looked at the window. The glass was thick, strong, but space pressure does not care about glass. He swallowed. Another passenger closed her eyes. She counted her breathing. In, out, her heart was beating fast, too fast. The capsule felt small now, smaller than before. The air felt heavier, even though nothing had changed. Fear changes how humans feel space. In the control room, the countdown appeared on the screen. T-minus 10 minutes, 10 minutes, the same time it would take to reach space and return. 10 minutes felt short, too short. One engineer whispered, "Everything depends on this." Fuel levels were perfect, weather was clear, systems were green. On paper, this was a perfect launch. Reality is never paper. T-minus 8 minutes. The rocket began to wake up. Soft vibrations moved through the capsule, not loud, not violent, yet passengers felt it in their bones. One man laughed nervously. "So this is happening." No one replied because talking made it more real. T-minus 6 minutes. Outside, the rocket looked calm. Still, but inside, fuel moved fast. Pressure built. Energy waited. The rocket was a loaded question, and gravity was the answer. T-minus 5 minutes. The voice returned. "Prepare for launch." Prepare how? The body does not prepare easily for space. Muscles tighten, breathing changes, thoughts race. One passenger remembered something simple, her kitchen, a cup of tea, a normal morning. Normal felt far away now. T-minus 4 minutes. Sweat formed on foreheads. Even in cool air. The capsule smelled different, metal, clean. Machines have no smell of comfort. T-minus 3 minutes. In the control room, no one moved. Hands hovered over switches. Eyes did not blink. This was the moment where stopping was still possible, but no one wanted to say it because stopping would mean doubt, and doubt spreads fast. T-minus 2 minutes. The rocket made a new sound, deeper, louder. Passengers felt it in their chest. Like thunder trapped inside metal. One man whispered, "Oh God," not a prayer, just a reaction. T-minus 1 minute. The world outside felt unreal. The sky was bright, the desert silent. Inside the capsule, time slowed, seconds stretched. The voice spoke again. 10, 9, every number hit harder. 8, muscles tightened. 7, someone's breathing became fast. 6, gravity still held them. 5, fear rose. 4, there was no escape now. 3, the rocket trembled. 2, fire waited. 1, ignition. The sound was violent, the force was immediate. The rocket pushed upward with power. Passengers were pressed into their seats hard. Their bodies felt heavy, too heavy. Breathing became difficult, not impossible, but uncomfortable. The rocket climbed fast, faster than thought, faster than fear. Earth began to fall away. The shaking increased, not smooth, not gentle. This was controlled chaos. One passenger tried to speak. No sound came out. The force crushed words. The capsule roared, not loud like an explosion, but deep, constant, relentless. Then silence, sudden, shocking. The force disappeared. The weight disappeared. Everything floated. Pens, hands, fear, weightlessness had arrived. For a second, confusion ruled. Up felt wrong. Down did not exist. One passenger laughed. Another gasped. A third froze. The brain struggled to understand. This was space, not deep space, but real enough. Outside the window, Earth curved gently, blue, white, beautiful, thin, so thin. The atmosphere looked fragile, like it could break. No one spoke, no words were strong enough. This moment lasted only seconds, then the voice returned. "Prepare for re-entry. Too soon, always too soon." The capsule began to move again. Gravity slowly returned, not gently. Pressure built, heat followed. The capsule shook, harder now. This was not ascent, this was survival. The air screamed outside. Fire wrapped around the capsule. Passengers could not see it, but they felt the violence. The capsule was being tested, so were the humans inside. One passenger felt dizzy, another felt sick. This was normal, but normal did not feel safe. Time moved strangely, fast and slow together, then a pull, strong parachutes. The first opened, the capsule jerked, then another, then another. The fall slowed, breathing became easier, the shaking stopped. Silence returned, floating again. But not in space, in air, Earth air. The ground came closer, desert sand visible, closer, closer, then impact, soft, controlled. The capsule stopped, no explosion, no fire, just stillness. For a moment no one moved, then someone laughed, another cried, someone said softly, "We're back." The door would open soon, but something had already changed. They went to space as people, they came back as witnesses. Witnesses to a truth humans had always known: Earth is home. But space is closer than ever. And time no longer felt safe, because 10 minutes was enough. Enough to change everything. The capsule had stopped. The dust slowly settled around it. The desert became quiet again. No fire, no noise, no countdown, just silence. Inside the capsule, the passengers did not move at first. They were safe. They were alive, but their bodies did not feel normal. One man tried to lift his hand. It felt heavy, too heavy. Another passenger blinked many times. The light felt strong. Their brains were still catching up. The human body does not understand space easily. It takes time. Outside, people were running toward the capsule. Engineers, doctors, cameras, smiles appeared, claps, cheers. History had been made. But inside, the passengers were still somewhere else, between Earth and space. A doctor opened the capsule door. Fresh air rushed in. Earth air, warm, familiar. One passenger took a deep breath. It felt strange, like breathing for the first time again. They helped the passengers step out, slowly, carefully. Legs were weak, balance was strange. One passenger laughed suddenly, not because something was funny, because emotions had no direction. Another passenger felt tears, no sadness, no fear, just release. Cameras moved closer, microphones waited, questions came fast. How did it feel? Were you scared? Would you do it again? The passengers tried to answer. But words felt small. How do you explain space in simple sentences? How do you explain Earth from above? So they smiled, they waved, they said it was amazing. But inside, something was still moving. Later, when the cameras were gone, silence returned. The passengers sat alone, water bottles in their hands. Doctors watched quietly. Heart rate slowly returned to normal. One doctor wrote notes. Normal reaction. Expected dizziness. Mild stress. Normal. Expected. These words sound safe. But space always leaves marks, not visible ones, deeper ones. That night, one passenger lay in bed. Sleep did not come easily. Every time he closed his eyes, he felt the launch again. The push, the pressure, then the silence, weightlessness. His body remembered before his mind did. Another passenger stared at the ceiling. She thought about Earth from above, so small, so thin. She had seen the atmosphere, a soft blue line, so fragile. Realized something simple. Everything humans love lives inside that thin line. That thought did not leave her. Outside the mission, the world reacted loudly. News channels played the launch again and again. Social media celebrated. Space for everyone. The future is here. 10 minutes to space. The words were exciting, simple, clean, but reality was more complex. Engineers went back to work. They reviewed data. Thousands of lines, every vibration, every silent second. One engineer stopped at a small detail. A temperature spike, not dangerous, but close. Close matters in space. He highlighted it. This would be fixed. Because next time humans would expect perfection, and space never promises that. In another building, people discussed money, costs, tickets, demand, how many flights, how many people. Numbers replaced emotions. This always happens after success. Dreams turn into plans, plans turn into pressure. Pressure turns into speed, and speed is dangerous. One old engineer watched the discussions quietly. He had seen this before in aviation, in rockets, in technology. He knew something important. The first success is easy to celebrate. The second is harder. The 10th is dangerous because confidence grows faster than safety. The passengers returned to normal life, or tried to. Friends asked questions. Family hugged longer. Food tasted the same, but something felt different. One passenger stood outside one night, looking at the stars. They looked closer now, not friendly, but familiar. Another passenger avoided the sky for a while because once you see Earth from above, the sky never feels the same again. Weeks passed. The excitement slowly faded. The headlines moved on. The world found new stories, but the mission stayed alive in quiet places, in labs, in reports, in human memory. The capsule was clean, checked, prepared. It looked ready. Like nothing had happened. Machines forget quickly. Humans do not. One engineer placed his hand on the capsule. He felt pride and fear because he knew this was only the beginning. Soon more people would want to fly, older people, younger people, people with fear, people with health problems. Space does not care who you are. It treats everyone the same. That is its fairness and its danger. The applause had ended. The cameras were gone. Now only responsibility remained. Responsibility to not rush. Responsibility to not sell dreams too fast. Responsibility to remember one truth. 10 minutes in space can change a person, but one small mistake can end everything. As the desert slept under the stars, the rocket stood quietly, waiting not for applause, not for headlines, but for the next question. The hardest one yet, not can we do this, but should we? In the next part, the story will turn darker. Because every great idea faces its shadow, and space always demands a price. Success is loud, but its shadow is quiet. After the celebration faded, another feeling entered the room. Pressure. More flights were planned, more names were added to lists, more eyes were watching. Success had opened the door, now the world wanted it wide open. Inside meeting rooms, people spoke faster than before. Demand is high. Interest is growing. We should move quickly. It became the new goal, not safety, not patience, speed. An engineer sat silently in the corner. He remembered old accidents, not this rocket, older ones. Flights that failed after many successes because humans thought they had control. Space waits for overconfidence. One report landed on a table. Small issues, nothing serious, but space does not fail loudly at first. It whispers, tiny delays, small heat changes, minor vibration. These are warnings. But warnings are easy to ignore when money and dreams are involved. Outside the labs, the public saw something else. Smiling faces, clean landings, happy stories, 10 minutes to space. Easy, simple, safe. That image was powerful, too powerful. People began to believe space was normal, like flying in a plane, but space is not normal. It never was. In one office, a doctor raised a concern. We still don't fully understand long-term effects, she said. 10 minutes may look small, but the body reacts strongly. Her voice was calm, but the room was impatient. It's short exposure, someone replied. We monitor everything. Monitor does not mean control. The human body is not a machine. Fear changes it, stress changes it, space changes it. Some passengers returned to normal life easily, others did not. One person felt uneasy in small rooms. Another felt strange when lying down, no serious problems. But changes, quiet changes, they did not talk to media about this, because the world wanted heroes, not doubts. In online comments, people argued, "This is amazing, this is useless. This is dangerous." Opinions crashed into each other, but space did not join the argument. It never does. In the desert, the rocket stood again, clean, prepared, it looked ready. But readiness is not only about machines, it is about decisions. Another flight date appeared on a calendar. Soon, very soon, engineers checked systems again. Everything looked fine. But one technician noticed something small. A part showed early wear, not broken, but tired. Machines get tired too, he reported it. The report moved slowly, too slowly, because replacing parts takes time, and time costs money. In another building, a manager looked at numbers. Delays meant losses, losses meant questions. Questions meant pressure. Pressure meant risk. He signed approval. The part would be replaced later. Later is a dangerous word in space. At night, one engineer stood outside, looking at the stars. He had loved space since childhood. He believed in this project, but belief does not remove responsibility. He asked himself a hard question. Are we moving because it is right or because we can? Technology gives humans power, but wisdom decides how to use it. The next passengers arrived. New faces, new excitement. They smiled for cameras. They waved. They trusted the system. Trust is fragile. It must be protected. In training, one passenger asked a simple question. What if something goes wrong? The answer came quickly. We have systems for that. Not a lie, but not the full truth. Systems reduce risk. They do not erase it. That night, the control room felt different. Less fear, more confidence. Confidence is dangerous in space. Fear keeps humans careful. One screen showed a simulation. Failure scenarios, most ended safely, most not all. The room went quiet, no one spoke because no one wanted to say it out loud. Perfection does not exist, not in space, not anywhere. The launch day approached, weather was perfect. Systems were green, public interest was high, everything looked ready, too ready. An old engineer remembered something his mentor once said. Space does not punish mistakes. It waits for them. The countdown would begin soon. The rocket did not know this was a test. Another test, a harder one, not of technology, but of human choice, because the real danger was not the rocket. It was the belief that nothing could go wrong. As the sun rose over the desert, shadows stretched long. The rocket stood in the light, strong, silent, beautiful, and unforgiving. In the next part, the story reaches its final edge because space always demands an answer. And sometimes the answer comes too fast. The rocket did not launch that day. Not because of a failure, not because of bad weather, because someone said, wait. That word felt heavy. Wait. In space, waiting is rare. Most disasters happen when people do not wait. The control room was quiet again, not the fear-filled silence of the first flight. This was different. This was thoughtful silence. Engineers looked at screens. Managers looked at reports. Doctors looked at data. The small problem was still small, but now it mattered because humans had learned something important. Success does not mean safety forever. The rocket stood outside, ready, silent, patient. Machines are patient. Humans are not. Outside this place, the world continued. People talked about space travel like it was normal. Only 10 minutes, easy trip, anyone can go. Those words sounded light, but the people inside this mission knew the truth. 10 minutes is short, but it is long enough to die, long enough to change a life, long enough to change history. One engineer walked alone near the rocket. He remembered the first flight, the fear, the hope, the silence after landing. That silence was honest. It did not celebrate. It did not promise. It simply said, you survived. That memory stayed with him. In a meeting room, someone asked the final question. What is New Shepard really about? The room stayed quiet. A woman spoke. It is not about space, she said. It is about access. Access is powerful, dangerous. When something becomes reachable, humans rush. They forget why rules existed. They forget why fear mattered. New Shepard proved one thing clearly. Space is closer than ever, but closeness does not mean ownership. Space is not human. It does not care about dreams. It does not care about money. It does not care about pride. It only reacts. The delayed launch gave time. Time to think, time to slow down, time to ask the hard questions. Should everyone go to space? Should space become entertainment? Should speed be more important than safety? There were no easy answers. Some people wanted faster flights. Others wanted stronger rules. Both believed they were right. The rocket waited. Days later, the launch happened again, quietly, no loud marketing, no big promises, just work. The flight went well again and again. Slowly, carefully. The world watched, but now something was different. People did not only ask, when can I go? They asked, is this ready? That question mattered. Years passed. New Shepard flew many times. Some flights carried scientists, some carried dreamers, some carried people who never thought they would leave Earth. Each flight was short, but every flight left something behind. Perspective. People came back quieter. They spoke less. They looked at Earth differently. One passenger said something simple. I saw how thin everything is. That sentence meant more than any headline because Earth is fragile. Borders disappear from space. Countries disappear. Arguments disappear. Only one planet remains, blue alone. New Shepard never went to Mars, never went to the moon. It did not need to. Its job was smaller and bigger. It showed humans that space is not far away, and that is both exciting and dangerous. Because when humans get closer to something powerful, they must choose how to behave, with care or with pride. In the end, New Shepard was not just a rocket, it was a mirror. It showed humans who they are: curious, brave, impatient, hopeful, and sometimes careless. 10 minutes was all it took. 10 minutes to leave Earth, 10 minutes to see the truth, 10 minutes to return changed. Space did not open its doors fully. It only cracked them open, enough to look inside, enough to feel small, enough to understand one thing. The future is not decided by how far we can go, but by how wisely we choose to go. As the rocket stood under the stars one final night, it waited again, not for the next launch, but for the next decision, because space will always be there. The real question is, will humans be ready? End of documentary.